What is good, YouTube? We got a video from one of my from one of my favorite YouTubers, especially when it comes to my GOAT, Benjamin Tennyson. We got Dr. Wardy, man. Shout out to you. I've seen you comment on some of my videos before, and I appreciate it, man. I appreciate to know that the support is there and like this kind of space for Ben 10 content. And if you want to see more Ben 10 content, make sure you subscribe and turn on that bell like I have with Dr. Wardy, and I can find content like great videos like these, and we can watch them together. As always, the Discord community is linked down in the description below. There you can actually recommend reactions as well as see any community events we have going on, as well as know whenever videos like this upload and whenever we go live like we are right now. As you can see, the YouTube chat bottom right corner, and we have Twitch chat that normally appears in top right. You'll know all of these things and stay abreast in community affairs. Without further ado, though, let's get straight into it.
The inciting incident of Ben 10,
automatic play on zoom in. Okay, YouTube.
Earth, only to then be discovered by Ben, is such a strong start to a show. I think it should be studied as a prime example of how to hit the ground running. But what if, rather than the Ultimatrix arriving and attaching itself to Ben's wrist, what if Ben got the Ultimatrix first? As I'm sure you're aware, the Omnitrix is a device created by Azimuth
like a prototype
that allows the user to transform into however many alien species that have their DNA stored in there. While the Ultimatrix, on the other hand, was created by Azimuth's assistant Albedo after Azimuth refused to let him be the wearer of the original Omnitrix, leading to this more slapdash together, much buggier device with the addition of alternate forms. Those being created by placing the DNA of whichever alien through a simulated worst-case scenario for millions of years.
Millions of years.
Tailored for combat. So getting into the series, let's revise history just a bit to make it make sense.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking in this timeline, rather than Albedo getting miffed with Azimuth fully letting Ben keep the Omnitrix, we'll have it that Azimuth made it perfectly clear, right from when they first started working on the prototype Omnitrix, that Albedo wouldn't be getting it. So this time, as they worked on the device,
he made it earlier, the Ultimatrix.
Albedo was secretly working on the Ultimatrix any chance he had, wanting to one-up the original prototype right away. And when Azimuth was prepping to send the Omnitrix off into space, he discovered the Ultimatrix hidden away. This resulting in a scuffle between the two of them. Azimuth, at the very last moment, in his best effort to get it away from Albedo, sends the Ultimatrix off in place of the Omnitrix. If we're pitching a scene here, we'd have Azimuth just manage to send the device off, feel relieved, then spin around to the reveal that Albedo's taken the chance to put on the original Omnitrix, and we fade to black. Back on Earth, the Ultimatrix attaches itself to Ben. Same incident.
That's so Ben 10, like, classic. A scene where, like, some crazy twist happens, and then you just get, like, the slow pain to, like, the black screen, and then it opens back up somewhere else, bro. That was unmatched back in the day. Like, that ability to hold suspension and tension in the media.
With Ben burning down the forest, but this time, when the larger drone comes down to Earth and Ben uses Diamond Head, Ben incidentally triggers the Ultimate Diamond Head. And in line with the somewhat standardized design trends for Ultimates, we get a palette swap and a change in power set. I'm thinking an Ultimate Diamond Head only makes sense to somewhat resemble Chromastone, so I'm thinking we palette swap him, make him made up of a darker substance, kind of like his torso in Alien Force. And this time when the drone shoots a laser at him, in a sort of Chromastone kind of way, Diamond Head gets imbued with that energy, amplifies it, and sends it right back, taking out the drone and a bit of the surrounding area. I'd like to stress, when I say color palette swap, unfortunately some Ultimates aren't nearly as simple as purely color swaps, but they do, in most instances, go through a more notable physical change, some more than others.
Big Show was tough. Echo, I think, is like a standard for like a good Ultimate.
If we're going for a power sacrifice, let's say he can still create structures, but can no longer mold his body into different shapes like usual. For the most part, episodes do play out as usual, just with the inclusion of alternate forms
and like the different powers,
So let's quickly list each one and what changes with them up until the more notable plot changes. I'm thinking Heat Blast becomes less humanoid and more Balrog from Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking we don't necessarily take away anything, but we just give him a general power amp. Only this time his volcanic rocks solidify into more of an armor, with his flames becoming more secondary to the physical side of things. I guess we could just go...
Because like this millions of years essentially just stimulates evolution, so it takes whatever power they have and tweaks it to imagine like in a million years on this planet what would go down. Like, for example, say someone had, I don't know, an ice ability and their secondary ability was a turtle shell, right? It may swap to where their main ability is like a shell defensive based ability. However, it is ingrained with the ice, and their ability to generate ice changes slightly, but they have the ability to change the temperature around their body significantly. Things of that nature. So we're like, it is a different expression of the power, similar to how Diamond Head normally just generates these crystals, while now in this Ultimate, in this What If, it is a crystal and is able to refract light and play off the fact that that is something that crystals have the ability to do.
With the pre-existing alternate Walmart, but I don't really want to, and I'm definitely taking away him being able to speak in English and increasing his size hugely. Making him larger and more built like Blitzwolfer, borrowing a bit from OR Ash here, I'm thinking this time
OR Ash!
Smoke screen,
Shout out the Ink Tank.
creating a low visibility environment, so he has the advantage. I'm thinking Accelerate just gets way faster, building up momentum as he runs. I don't really know how you'd subtract a power when his abilities aren't all one note. We already have Ultimate Grey Matter, so let's stick with that. Forearms, I like the idea of shifting him towards a purple hue, giving him, again, it's tricky to approach these following OR Ash's Ultimates Overhaul series, but giving him the ability to generate and manipulate muscle tissue like Muscular from My Hero Academia.
Okay.
Stinkfly, we're going for the upsize, making him like a cross between regular Stinkfly and Spitter, just being able to shoot huge geysers of ooze, though this time we'll limit his flight so he can just sort of hover around a little bit and very slowly. And Rip Doors just gets massive. As a downside, we'll double down on not being able to be away from water. This time, it's not only down to his gills, but his body's so huge, a bit like a whale, it's unsustainable.
It needs that,
And appropriately getting into Upgrade with the episode The Alliance, where Rojo becomes a humanoid drone hybrid and gets in contact with Vilgax. This time, it's not just Vilgax though. Albedo's gotten Vilgax on board to work for/with him, using the classic Omnitrix as a bit of a bargaining chip, telling Vilgax if he gets banned for him, he'll give him the Omnitrix in exchange. From there, things play out somewhat as usual. Oh, and for Upgrade, I'm thinking we'll use Malware's yellow color palette and make Upgrade somewhat more resemble Asmus' original suit, no longer being able to fuse with technology, but having complete control over surrounding technology independently of touching it, just sort of like technopathy.
That's actually
last
tough.
Alien, Ghost Freak. We'll be leaning into that Eldritch horror element.
So like coming
as if you made Ghost Freak's skin more like a sheet just draping over him, with those tendrils and all sorts more visible. I'm thinking we kind of make his actual body
already look creepy.
kind of like a portal into this nightmare realm, a bit Upchuck inspired, but rather than things going in, there's things in there wanting to get out. All this leading up to secrets, where this time, rather than Vilgax initially confronting Ben, Albedo does. Him besting him with any alien's base form, him being a Galvan, being able to outwit Ben and better utilize any alien. That is up until Ben uses an alternate form. And then that's when Vilgax comes flying in. I'm thinking leaping from his ship up in the atmosphere, coming crashing down on top of Ben, and in that moment, let's say Ben was alternate heat blast for the sake of it, Vilgax shattering through that now hardened volcanic rock, knocking Ben out, transforming him back to human, and taking him back to Galvan Prime, where Albedo's taken over, keeping Asmuth prisoner, and ruling over it with Vilgax as his right-hand man. Ben regaining consciousness mid-transit to the planet, only to be met with a Vilgax and Albedo doing a pretty standardized villain monologue, explaining that Albedo was never going to be satisfied with the original Omnitrix and wants the Ultimatrix for himself. Meanwhile, on Earth, Grandpa Max is stressing. Vilgax's ship isn't in the atmosphere and it's taken off into space. As such, they need more than just the rust bucket to get to them. They need the plumbers. And that's exactly what they get.
He reveals. He liked that.
Not only one, but potentially two Omnitrixes falling into villains' hands. It's every plumber on deck. Grandpa Max gathering everyone he can. It's Vilgax's army occupying Galvan versus
don't play. We know Big Max got motion.
Functionally the entirety of the plumbers in an all-out war. Albedo focusing on removing the Ultimatrix from Ben. Meanwhile, Vilgax joins his army on the defense against the plumbers. Albedo and Ben having the expected back and forths. Albedo ridiculing Ben for his use of the device, which is made unpredictable and harder to remove. While Ben is quick to point out that he's the one who made it in the first place, and any errors are his fault. And as he says that, Ben's eyes flash red. Other voices can be heard coming out of Ben, them really doubling down on all of this being Albedo's fault. Albedo takes a concerned step back as Ben, without moving, quickly flashes between aliens, each one, other than Wildmite of course, quickly saying something about it being all Albedo's fault. This eventuating in Forearms, who goes ultimate, breaking out of his restraints and confronting Albedo, grabbing him before he can activate his own Omnitrix. And in a flash of green, Albedo and this ultimate Forearms are gone. The Ultimatrix is just sitting on the floor in an empty room. But inside the Ultimatrix, we get a similar situation to the episode Ultimate Sacrifice, with Albedo and Ben finding themselves
talking to the ultimate
of the device. Albedo immediately transforming, going to attack Ben, but before he can, out of the ground comes each of the 10 Ultimates we've seen, and they're furious with Albedo, blaming him for creating the device and trapping them in there. Albedo being quick to put the blame on Ben, them looking at Ben, saying he's not without blame, but he's just a kid. And we get this sequence of Albedo stopping between alien forms, just barely keeping it together as the Ultimates all go after him, eventuating in them getting hold of him. Ultimate Wildmark goes over to Ben and places him on his back as they all make their way over to the pit to sacrifice Albedo. Ben pleading
sacrifice is crazy.
How crook Albedo is, but saying he doesn't deserve this. The Ultimate's feeling some remorse, but
sacrifice. Like what, bro? Aliens surrounding me saying that? Yeah, GG's.
This is the only way they can free themselves. While they're preaching being after revenge, they're less trying to get rid of Albedo and more trying to destroy the Omnitrix that the Ultimatrix is linked to. Hoping if they can destroy it, the Ultimatrix will shut down as well, either releasing them or just shutting off indefinitely. And thankfully for us, Grandpa Max comes through the Ultimatrix's communicator, saying he's got someone here he'd like Ben to meet. Azimuth scolding Albedo for what he's done, especially tormenting these poor sentient Ultimates. Azimuth pauses and says, "Give me a moment," and with a flash of green, Ben, Albedo, along with the Ultimates, appear back in that room, with Ultimate Forearms grabbing the device, attempting to crush it. Azimuth gesturing for him to hand it over to him, and he functionally dismantles the device. Then taking the original prototype from Albedo, handing it over to Ben and saying, "It's not quite finished, but one day, if he keeps on this path he's going down, he'll be worthy of the completed one in due time." From there, the series largely plays out as normal, only this time Albedo comes in as a villain much earlier, and Vilgax, being overwhelmed by the Plumbers, gets locked away following the events of this Season 1 finale. Long-term effects from here, I'd say we have Ben running into a few of these Ultimates as the series goes on.
True.
With Ghost Freak being on Anor during the Galactic Monsters arc, maybe in this timeline Princess Luma and Ultimate Forearms end up together. Maybe the Ultimate crossing paths with Tetrax is what makes him realise there's trace amounts of chromosome in the Omnitrix. As far as the Alien Force / Ultimate Alien, this time we'd have it that Albedo just recreated the Omnitrix from the destroyed pieces, rather than making it entirely from scratch. And I think we'd have to coincide it with the earlier events,
because it was functionally disabled rather than like completely obliterated.
Alien Force, since all this happened so much earlier in the timeline. Maybe with Ben having taken off the Omnitrix between Classic and Alien Force, Albedo couldn't get the Ultimatrix working since the Omnitrix wasn't in use to sync up to.
Right.
So when Ben puts it back on in Alien Force, it gives Albedo the green light to complete the Ultimatrix. And that's really it. If there's any way you would have preferred things to go, let me know. Otherwise, if you've made it this far into the video and aren't subscribed, please consider doing so.
Shout out Dr. Wardy, bro. Another great Ben 10 video from my dog. If y'all enjoyed this video, you want to see more Ben 10 content, it's a comment. You know what to do. As always, make sure you stay happy, healthy, and hydrated. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.